Lucas, we're chatting a little bit beforehand, and yeah, man. I mean, you said people are not reaching out to you right now. People are. What's the deal?
Well, I think a lot of people are concerned to associate with me at this point. Ever since my super viral song "Boom Boom Tel Aviv" came out, which I mean, just the name is silly, right? It was a Michael. I've been making these songs with AI for fun, and the lyrics are silly. So I have rap music I make that are serious lyrics, like deep. Then I have like this stupid dance music thing, GG Hamas, just to make fun of the Israelis. And I made some really stupid music there, but they're really funny. And this Boom Boom Tel Aviv song I made, it went super viral. It just went all over the world, across Asia, Middle East, Iran. I was on the Tehran Times front page. That's like the New York Times equivalent for Iran. So I was interviewed by them. I mean, I've been viral a lot of times for a lot of theatrics. So this last thing though was so viral that they had to hire a Israeli cybersecurity firm called Cyberwell. And the woman said specifically for the anti-Semite Lucas Gage, whose song "Boom Boom Tel Aviv" encourages violence or incites violence against Israel or something like that, which is just a song. And the timing of it was when Iran struck back and hit Tel Aviv. So the timing was perfect. The song was catchy, and it went viral all over TikTok. And I'm talking billions of views, billions. And the first day, someone said they saw it was 577 million views in 24 hours. And then like that week, it was billions. And it was all over TikTok. People were dancing to it, silly stuff. And so I was one of the most viral, if not the most viral man of the summer. More than Ye's controversial song, actually, because they shut him down really quickly. And ever since then, I think people are like, well, okay, let's stay away from him, which I'm not offended by because I want my allies, Michael. I'm the kind of guy that's a team player. If my allies are like, look, we love him, but we can't mess with him, I don't, like I even told you before the show, be careful. I don't want you to lose your YouTube. So I'm not about me, I'm about the team. And so if I think I could hurt someone's brand, I'll be like, hey man, you sure you want me to come down there? Because I don't want to hurt you. No, it's all good. I'm always making sure other people are okay. Because I'll be fine. I'll go viral again some other time. I've been viral so many times, but lately it's been like people are like, I don't even know if we should have them on, or they won't even interact with me through the timeline, which sucks. Because also the thing is, what Cyberworld has done is they've also like reduced my reach on everything. So TikTok, I was banned instantly. Instagram, I was banned, and Facebook banned for being a dangerous person when I've never committed a crime in my life. Literally, clean record. And so that's how it is. And YouTube, once my song was on YouTube, they nuked that instantly as well. Although other people are playing it. So yeah, ever since this Boom Boom Tel Aviv thing, and also the funny part, after Boom Boom Tel Aviv, Trump released Bomb Bomb Iran. Bomb 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 Bomb. So like, why did that happen? It was kind of like this propaganda war between me and like, the Zionists, if you will. So yeah, just one guy making some AI music, having a good time, made this viral song that just went all over the place, and I think that's concerning to people because a lot of guys are getting their reach back. A lot of guys are getting mainstream. They're getting noticed, and I don't think they want to hurt their image or brand by associating with me, which is again totally fine. I don't take it personal. So I'm not an egotistical guy, but other people would get offended, and start causing drama. That's not me. So I take my place humbly in the back and say, okay, let me continue doing what I got to do, despite losing my reach and despite having all these obstacles to deal with censorship. So
Well,
that's what's going on, I think.
I think your approach to it. I mean, I think we should all have that mindset in the space that we're in because you can't take it personal. And even though I do some, I mean, I'd be a hypocrite if I told you I didn't take things personal. Like, I'm being better about it, but I'm trying not to engage with these trolls on X or YouTube or any of it, and because they're trying to get a rise out of me, obviously, and by responding, I'm just giving them what they want in a sense. But and you're a public figure, right? So it's
Oh yeah.
like everybody else is. I don't know, man. My approach has always been, I have nothing to lose. When I started this, I had nothing to lose, and I treat it the same. I have nothing to lose, even though I do this full time.
Mhm.
But I think that's how you make headway, right? With still that mentality. And
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
go ahead. Sorry.
Things have changed a lot. I mean, look, there's been people who have been banned completely. Like, for example, Nick. Nick's doing very well right now. he's breaking containment, as he says, and other people agree. And it's because he's been more professional. He's basically unstoppable. His political acumen's unmatched, and he's calling out Tucker. He's embarrassing Candace Owens. So someone like him, he's got to focus on his mission, and he's got his groypers behind him, and he's building his brand, and other people as well. I mean, he sacrificed a lot. Him, other people like Myron Gaines. You probably know who he is. He's lost millions of dollars having Nick on. Sneeko as well, another guy lost tons of money. So a lot of these influencers, these younger guys, I'm 41, so these guys are younger than me. They put a lot on the line, and they got demonetized, and now they're getting it all back. So they want to keep going forward and making sure things are they don't get nuked again. So that's what I'm saying. So these guys, they were doing it when it was difficult. I've been doing this for 13 years. If you said you were proud to be white, you were finished 10 years ago, right? So things have changed. The Overton window has shifted so much that these younger gentlemen are breaking through because the enemy has to address them, or at least let them speak a little bit to seem like they don't have full control of the narrative, because they don't. They've lost it, but they still have control of the networks. So, there's still this game that there's being played. And someone like me, though, I don't play the patty cake game with these people, so they just try to take me out all the time. I mean, last year they swatted my house like 16 times.
I remember that. I remember. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
You saw that, so you know a little bit about me. So yeah, that's what happened there. And so I just went really hardcore, and I was cutting flags and burning town. I mean, and these are theatrics that were, they sent me these items to intimidate me, and I just couldn't stand it. I was like, I could have just threw them away. I could have not made a spectacle of it. Instead, I said, you know what? I'm not intimidated, and I did these things. So, depending on you ask, I should have never done those things. Other people say it was amazing you did that. Those things went viral as well. And every time I do something viral, I try to insert red pills. So even with the flag thing, I said JFK, 9/11. I inserted who did what, because I know they're going to go viral, right? So there's a lot of strategy to what I do, although it seems impulsive. So anyway, so what I'm going to say is basically a lot of these guys are growing again, and you cannot take it personally. And what happens is, Michael's, and look, it sucks. Let's be honest. It's, feel like you're left isolated, but a lot of people in this movement or cause, really, they do get offended and they start beefing with each other. And next thing you know, there's allies fighting. I don't do that. I don't get involved in e-drama. If I go after someone, it's because they're doing something illegal. Oh, they have to be called out. They're screwing people over. They're lying. They're frauds. There's plenty of those people too, Michael. So I don't do the e-drama stuff. I don't have any. I mean, look, we all have egos, but mine I've tamed very much. I think to myself, is this person being malicious? Yes or no? Are they trying to hurt you? Yes or no? If the answer is no, then there's no problem. You see what I mean? So a lot of people feel slighted. I've been doing this for so long. I'm owed more respect and more this than that. I mean, I've done my part. In fact, I don't know if you know this, but my name used to be Angelo John Gage. That's my birth name. And in 2022, I got sick of this whole thing. I said, you know what? I've done everything I could. Let me start a new life. So I said, I got to change my name. I have PTSD, so I had this breakdown as well. I got overwhelmed because I was in the war in Iraq, 2 tours. So I've been dealing with PTSD for I don't know, since 2009, 2006. So a long time. I finally had enough. I said, okay, I've done my part in this movement. I did the pro-white stuff on the ground. I had an organization. I did the stuff online. I went viral so many times. I woke up everyone I could. It's over for me. Let me just go retire. I'm neglecting my family. So I changed my name to Lucas Gage with the intention of, I'll just write self-help books and go on my life, And then the other name is pretty much destroyed. So, who's going to know it's me? I didn't get surgery or anything like that, so obviously it's me. But when you get out of the internet scene, nobody knows who you are, right? Well, unfortunately, the war in Ukraine started, and I sat there and I looked at it like, I'm not going to say anything. I'm not going to say anything. Kept getting worse. Oh, World War III is going to happen. I'm like, ooh, who's behind the war? The same, who, same names. I go, oh my God, I can't escape. I make one video, Michael, one video about it. Goes viral over the world. Here I am back sucked into I'm like, it's never going to end. So I can't escape. So now Lucas Gage is actually more destroyed than Angelo John Gage, because Lucas Gage doesn't care about what anyone thinks. Before, I was like, oh, I don't want to step on toes. I want to ruffle feathers. Now I'm like, I don't care. I'm going all in, especially after what happened to my family. Done playing these games. So Lucas Gage, this is my real name now. is way worse than Angela John Gage. So that's kind of a funny story there. I tried to get out of this. So I'm a really tough cookie when it comes to these. I could take the hits. And so now that I'm here, I'm not going anywhere. Despite feeling isolated or losing my reach or whatever, I'm not going to quit. I'm going to keep going forward. So it's a tough scene, but guys have been through it too. Like, for example, Nick was nuked off everything. He had no one to go on. He was completely isolated. And now he has this massive comeback. So, everyone has downswings. I'm in a downswing right now, and that's okay. So, I love my allies. I support them no matter what. And I think this kind of attitude is more needed in this cause. I think a lot of people, they don't think like me. They think, well, what about me? And I want this and I deserve more. Yeah, but maybe it's time to just pull back a bit. Let others do their part. Let them do the part, which I can't do these parts anyway. I'm more of a propaganda guy. I'm more of a motivator kind of guy. I'm not this political commentator. I'm not that kind of person. I'm a big picture person, philosopher, right? And I'm very creative. So that's where my strengths lie. Others are like Nicholas or Myron or whoever else out there who does news. They are people with the facts and the dates and the bullet points. And they know the whole thing, and that's why they're good at what they do. I'm not that guy. So I'm also I'm not an e-celebrity either. I haven't been doing this for long. I just started streaming like 2 years ago when I got nuked off of Elon Musk gave me the first 6 months lockout that anyone's ever had. So I've been locked out of Twitter for 9 months total. No one else has been locked out like that twice for nonsense. But anyway, so yeah, I've dealt with a lot worse than this. But like you said, it's hard to not get offended, but you just have to remind yourself, none of this is personal and what's for the greater good. And I focus on that, and that's why I keep moving forward, regardless.
I think did you ever watch the show Boardwalk Empire?
No, I didn't
Oh,
actually.
it's great.
I know a little bit about it.
I'm not a show watcher, but there's a few that I have watched from beginning to end, and that was the same writers as Sopranos, different, but it was took place during Prohibition. But anyway, there
Yeah.
was a character in season 3. He was a real loose cannon. I mean, violent, murder, whatever, and Steve Buscemi's character would say, don't take it personal. He goes, well, I'm a person. How can I not take it personal?
Mm.
And I always think
Right.
about that and not take things personally, but you're like, well, I'm a person, so how can I not take it personally?
Right, right. Well, it depends what the network, like, what is it about what's going on with these other people out there? Are they not helping because they don't like you, or they don't, are you a risk to their brand? For me, being in the Marine Corps, you're trained to jump on a grenade for the rest of your platoon. Like, someone's got to jump on a grenade, otherwise we all blow up. So I'm willing to take hits, and that's what makes me so disciplined that I can endure these things. I've seen people snap all the time over the dumbest drama. Someone makes a critique about, I think this person should pull back a bit, and they get offended. Oh yeah, well you're that, and they just get in this fight for no reason, and then they make up anyway. It's a waste of time. So for me, I know there's some Machiavellianism in this community, if you want to call it that. There is kind of a business going on. There are plays that have to be made, and I've done it all. I've aligned with people I didn't like. And at the end of the day, it just bites you in the ass. So I've been extremely transparent. I'm one of the most transparent people out there. Probably too transparent, actually. So, but yeah, this is something that people I think should really learn from me, is to say, okay, you know what? Don't take anything personally. What's for the greater good? And when someone's up in the front in the limelight, we got to support these people who are doing well, because when they're up there doing their job, it helps everybody. So a lot of people, there's jealousies involved. I'm not a person who gets jealous. I'm actually very happy that allies of mine are succeeding, doing very well. That's good. That means I have to do less work, number one. And number two, that means our message is moving and shifting the Overton window to the point it's pretty much shattered, right? So we're winning the culture war, if you want, or the info war. But even this, we have to be careful with, because it's not really a victory, right? Our enemies are still sending money to Israel, bombing children. Laws aren't being changed. But this culture war thing is necessary to win the hearts and minds of the people. So, I mean, but I don't want people to get too comfortable in these wins, right? A lot of people think a ratio is a victory or a collaboration is a victory. It's not really. I mean, our enemy loves keeping us in cyberspace, because this isn't the real world. Now, the internet, Michael, is what people really feel. So it's real in that sense. When you talk to someone online, they're really expressing how they feel to you. So it's real in that sense, but they're not taking that into the real world. They do it online. They won't take it unless you speak to them in private. Oh yeah, that's how I really feel. But most people, they go about their lives. They can learn the truth about anything, any conspiracy, and yet they go to work anyway, and they pay their bills and their taxes, and oh, this war sucks, you know. So it's a slow process. The masses, they're not asses because they're stupid. It's because they're lazy, they're afraid, and they pretty much don't want to deal with maintaining a state. So for those of us who are in the front lines fighting, we have to wait for them to catch up, and typically they catch up after they suffer. Sadly, that's the truth. So no matter how many things we tell these people, how many truths we drop red pills, they still have to not only swallow the red pill, but also feel it in their stomach and expanding, and to the point it gets uncomfortable, and they have to make a move in their lives. We're not there yet, but we are seeing changes in the narrative all over the world. I mean, the enemy now has to address people like Nick and others who are just breaking through, and they have to do something. Otherwise, the system loses its legitimacy completely, and they can't have that either.
Yeah, in regards to Nick, I mean, right now, I mean, he can't be denied with
No.
even the mainstream people. I mean, Patrick Bet-David, it's going to only be a matter of time before he's on his show. I could see him ending up on Rogan at some point. The Tucker thing, it's funny because I was having a conversation with a friend of mine who was just on Tucker, and I said, I'm like, these guys are entertainers. We all are to a certain extent, and it will get a lot of ratings. You put it behind a paywall for $5, I bet you it'll generate $1 million of revenue, maybe more.
Mm. Well, I don't think putting Nick behind a paywall works because Candace Owens tried to do that, and it just made it look really stupid. And that's a way to deny him an audience
Just do it
as
for like
well.
2 days, though, like an early
Yeah, well,
access.
I mean, whatever they would do. Do I think they will allow him to go that far? I'm not sure about that. Like Patrick Bet David had on Thomas Rousseau. Thomas Rousseau is the leader of Patriot Front. I'm sure you know what that is. Most people think Patriot Front is a bunch of feds. They're not. So I mean, if he'll have Thomas Rousseau on, why wouldn't he have Nick Fuentes on? Well, Nick Fuentes is very dangerous because his model is not a centralized organization that can be infiltrated. America First is a decentralized network of like-minded people, and his message is very simple. Right? There's no membership. You don't sign. When I went to AFPAC, I met these guys. I met the Groypers. I met the donors at the donor dinner. It's a solid organization, but it's decentralized. So there's no risk of being arrested if you go to AFPAC or something like that. So that model I think is the future for all networks. Is because our enemy can destroy your membership group, right? They could RICO you, they could infiltrate you, they could put a spy or whatever, federal agent. But when you have a show where there's this charismatic leader like Nick who has a cult like following who just tells people, hey, listen, email Susie Wiles, email Chris LaCivita, just do this, and they do it. That's really, how do you stop that, right? But if you have like, let's go into this square and do a march. Now you can say in Antifa there could be a fight, someone can get arrested. So there's different strategies here, and I frankly agree with the decentralized strategy because our enemies can't fight that. It's like the system can't fight a lone wolf, right? Like if there's one guy doing something, you can't stop that. But imagine a decentralized system with multiple lone wolves doing multiple things, right? And I'm not talking about legal activity. I'm talking about just emailing people. You can't stop that, right? So you could take down a centralized organization by taking down their leader and all its members, but you can't take down a decentralized network like Anonymous. You've heard of the hacker group. Nobody knows who they are. They could be anybody, right? It's the mission that is, which unites them. So with Nicholas, for example, America First unites these people. The idea of America First, we don't want dual citizens, we want to close the border, and all these other things. So I think more people should actually emulate what Nick has been doing because I think it's successful. And then we have someone else. We have our friend Arvil, Eric Arvil. I'm sure you heard of Eric Arvil. He's got a strategy building land for white people under a private membership association. So in this regard, there's no violations of the Civil Rights Act or Fair Housing Act because there's a bunch of people who already purchased land and they're just deciding who could stay, who's able to live there. It's like having a private golf club, right? And they tried to attack that, and that backfired because he did it correctly, right? So there's many strategies out there. I've talked to different people in the background. And, like I said, although they might not interface with me in public, there are many in the background that do. And I get it, we share information and we share ideas. But yeah, I think that the enemy cannot withstand an attack from a decentralized network. So imagine several of these all attacking the machinations of the enemy. It's going to be very difficult for them to stop. So that's why they want to make everyone. They want people to stop being anonymous online. They want to do ID checks. That's what they're trying to do here because this works. So people make fun of anonymous people. Well, there's a reason for it, right? We live in a world where if you tell the truth, you could lose your job, right? Who wants to lose their job for posting a meme on the internet? And in some countries, you go to jail, right? You go to jail for making music. There's a guy named Mr. Bond. He's in jail right now for making anti-Semitic music for like 10 years. There's a guy in the UK who put up a sign, "It's okay to be white." His name is Sam Melia, 2 years in jail for that in England. Okay. So we live in a very dangerous world for activists. So they're going to be anonymous. I don't blame anonymous people for doing it. In fact, our forefathers were anonymous when they wrote the Federalist Papers. Why? Because they didn't want to get arrested by the British. So anons have a place, but they should also know their place. A lot of times they, like you said, they troll and attack. They try to get under your skin. And by the way, Michael, you don't even know who these people are. They could be bots. There are bots in every movement, and I've uncovered many of them myself. Even in our movement, there's just people botting. They're Israelis or there's some other thing. So when I deal with trolls, I just block everybody. I don't care. That's what I do. I don't any negativity. You suck. Blocked. I just don't care. Who are you? So it doesn't matter to me, and that's why I'm able to sustain isolation and even demoralization and just keep moving forward by just keep pushing.
I remember when I had the Z-Man. You know the Z-Man? Remember the Z-Man? Christopher
Z, who's
Z-Man.
that?
Z-Man. He had a show called the Z-Man.
No,
He
I don't
passed
remember that.
away 2 months ago, but he was a contributor to VDare, to the Brimelows at VDare.
Okay, I think I know who you're talking about. Was it not
Chris,
Vindman though?
no, Chris Zeman. His actually legal
Oh,
name
okay.
I found out after he passed away was a different first name, but he went under Chris Zeman. He'd been to
Yeah.
AFPAC before. Older guy in his 50s, and sadly he passed away in June. But he had always talked about, because I was asking him about organization and like censorship, and he said when you have a show, they're less likely to really mess with you. It's when you organize in public that's
Yeah.
when problems. That's when open yourself up to potential problems.
Right, exactly. So when you have a decentralized, like Nicholas's show, it's America First, but he's got a whole cult-like following ready to do what he wants. So that's different. And there's no membership. You don't sign up to be a groiper. There's no groiper list that could be intercepted by the federal government and then dox everyone. You see what I mean? So that's why it's safer to do than, let's say, Patriot Front. Again, Tom's just so smart guy, but you have a membership list, and he takes a lot of. I spoke to him one time. He does take a lot of security measures, but still, there's a risk. Go out in public, you got to wear a mask and marching and things like that. And Nick's against that because he says one RICO case is finished, and that's possible. But there's going to be risks in everything. And so I say that's why I don't criticize people negatively. I say, look, everyone do whatever you think's right to do. Just do legal things. Don't do anything stupid or illegal. Just try it out. Let's see who's right. Maybe we're all right. Maybe all of these things have to be done. And that's why I promote full spectrum dominance, right? Because I look at this as a war. And full spectrum dominance, there are five spheres that you dominate in: land, air, sea, cyber, and psychological, right? So psyops as well. So you have land, you have someone like Arvel building land. You have air, you can say someone like Nicholas, or the airwaves, right? Our propaganda arms, our intellectuals. Then you have sea, kind of like the Navy, moving around the country, right? Like these guys on the ground, which, by the way, they were doing hurricane relief. That's the good stuff for the public. And then we have the psyops, and we have what do you call it? Cyber warfare. So the guys online, we're doing the memes, we're doing the narrative, we're doing the trolling, right? Trying to break down the enemy, because making them go mask off is also a good thing. So even trolling our enemies to make them say crazy things is good. So these five things have to be in our control. So we are winning the info war. The Israeli narrative is completely destroyed, completely. I was part of that. After October 7th, I pushed the Christian Muslim alliance. Now, I'm not Christian or Muslim, but I said, look, we got to put our religious differences aside, and we put together this alliance temporarily, of course, because Christians and Muslims aren't the same. to say, look, let's put aside our differences, focus on Israel. And we destroyed the Israeli narrative. I mean, we were the guys running spaces for hours on end, talking about the 40 beheaded babies, talking about all the lies that they put forward. We would debunk them the next minute. So it wasn't Fox that destroyed the Israeli narrative. It wasn't CNN. It was our activists. My friend Keith Woods, he started Ban the ADL. I don't know if you saw, did you see that hashtag going? Keith started that. It was his idea. Reached out to me, Jake Shields, Sam Parker, and Chief Trumpster. Hey guys, what do you think of this? Yeah, let's go for it. Took a life on its own. And to the point where Elon had to address the ADL. That's another victory, right? And then everyone saw him go to Auschwitz and go to Israel. And people saw, oh, these people control X. You see? So these things all accumulated over time to literally help us win the info war. But again, the info war is only one part, right? Our enemy still has all the money, all the congressmen and senators and the president, and they're doing whatever they want. So we can't get complacent and say, oh, we're winning and that's it. Because we're not doing anything in the real world until we start going into Congress or local level politics or something else, right? So again, this is just all phases. And now the public is waking up to the problem. I mean, I've been doing this for 13 years. And the last 2 years, I've seen more people become aware of the enemy than the last 11 years combined. So it's a good thing to see, Michael. But again, it takes time for the masses to catch up for those of us who've been doing this for a long time. So I'm happy to see the fruits of my labor a little bit, bloom a little bit, but there's still more to go.
Why do you think that? Why do you think this is what was taboo, even just a couple of years ago, is now being discussed? Do you think it's intentionally I heard the analogy, the signal versus the noise, and one person I have on refers to the signal that you can't kill the signal, but you can turn up the noise.
Yeah.
Why do you think it's okay to discuss certain topics right now, where a couple of years ago you were nuked, everything was radioactive?
Yeah. So eventually there are things that you can't kill the signal. So the signal comes out, but what the government will do, what the enemy will do is that they'll start making their own kosher signals, right? They'll get conspiracies like 9/11. They'll start adding like, there were no airplanes though. There were laser beams. So that they could pollute the truth.
The noise. So that's the noise then.
Right. They can crank it up and say, oh yeah, flat earth or whatever, all this other nonsense. And then, oh, you're one of those. So wait a minute, the Holocaust? Oh yeah, well, you believe in flat earth, right? Yeah. Well, oh, and they just walk away from you. Okay, bye, right? So when you talk about real things like the JFK assassination, USS Liberty, other things, you start throwing in these other conspiracies that are debunked and ridiculous, they just walk away from you. They shut down. Oh, if you're one of those people, no wonder why you believe JFK was, and you walk away, right? So they up the noise. And also I've noticed that they will start allowing kosher anti-Semitism, rather softball and hardball. I play hardball. I don't play games. Softball is like, well, it's just the Israelis. It's just the Zionists, or it's just the communists. It's not all, it's not this whole supremacist network on both ends. So they're playing that too. And what I've noticed, I call it the kosher sandwich. If you look at the anti-Zionist movement, it's run by anti-Zionist Jews. And they blame white supremacy, not Jewish supremacy or Israeli. They blame white supremacy. And that's the narrative where we get where it says, oh, they're not even Semites. These people are from Poland. Go back to Poland, BB, right? That's that narrative. Anti-Zionist Jews promote Jewish Voice for Peace and not in our name, whatever the groups are called. Then on the other side, you have Zionist Jews. They go, no. It's those brown Muslim terrorists. And it's those left-wing communists, and it's just like BLM, and that's the woke, that kind of thing. And they blame brown people. Who's not being blamed in the kosher sandwich are Jewish supremacists who started the mess in the first place. So the left is blaming white supremacy, and the right blames the brown people, BLM types, and no one blames the Jewish supremacists who started the problem. And that's the kosher sandwich. So we're seeing a lot of right-wing Zionists promote this whole, woke right thing. Oh, these are anti-Semites and they're dumb. They're throwing Nick into that category, for example, because he calls out Jewish supremacy. He knows what the kosher sandwich is. I know what it is too. But these other people, like these James Lindsay types, or whatever the case, they're trying to pretend like in Charlie Kirk's, they're saying, no, these people are just Democrat operatives or whatever, trying to destroy the real concern, like Tucker Carlson. He'll say, Yeah, look, yeah, Israel has a lot of power. Yeah, Mossad, yeah, maybe Epstein was Mossad, but hey, I love Israel though, you know? That's just one thing. The CIA does bad stuff. Israel's an enemy state. There's more than Epstein. They've done a lot worse. USS Liberty, JFK, RFK, 9/11, so many things. It's not just them and their network of Mossad. It's a lot more. So that's what the kosher sandwich is. So they can't stop the noise, right? I'm sorry, they can't stop the signal, but they can up the noise and start, as could they control both, they can contain the backlash. That's what they're doing. And so people will fall into that and say, oh, okay, well, yeah, yeah, now we could discuss Zionist power. Zionist power. Oh, yeah, yeah, sure. And as an American, I don't want dual Israeli citizens. That's fine. That doesn't take away the Federal Reserve, the banking system, the media, pornography. It doesn't even touch Jewish power. Israel is one little base. Israel can collapse tomorrow. They still have control world finance, right? So it doesn't matter. Israel is a side effect of Jewish supremacy. It's a result of Jewish supremacy. It is not Jewish. That's what it looks like. That's what it looks like, what they do to these poor kids in Gaza. But that's not the root of Jewish supremacy. Finance, their control. The Jews are the first people in history to weaponize finance. No other people have done it. Finance is a weapon. Romans would crush you. The Vikings would crush you. The Greeks would crush you with their legions. The Jews crush you with their usury, with their interest. And it's a very slow cut. It's a slow bleed. You don't know it's coming. You take a loan from a Jew, a king takes a loan, or whoever takes, oh yeah, I'll pay you back over. Next thing you know, he owns the kingdom. It's much easier to be enslaved that way than, or much not. It's not as noticeable than legions coming in killing your people. You see, so that's what it is. I know it went complicated there, but that's what's going on here, Mike.
Yeah, James Lindsay's a person I can't figure that guy out, man. I read his stuff. I mean, I don't. I mean, I read his posts on X. Like even the other day, I happened to see it on my feed. I'm like, I just don't get this guy. What the hell? What the hell?
They're all being paid, man. They're all shills. I mean, you see these guys going to Israel recently, and now they're all Israel's great. Oh, I don't care. Like they're getting paid. These influencers are getting paid to go to Israel and go look at the wall or whatever, and then they come back and saying it's all Hamas propaganda. I've seen so many dead babies. There's no propaganda. These people are being blown to pieces. You could look at Gaza; it's completely flattened. You're telling me Hamas was in every single building in this entire video that spans the entire horizon? No, it's obviously nonsense. They're committing a genocide. It's not even just it's ethnic cleansing and genocide. Checks off all the boxes for both of these things. So obviously that's what's happening. And Israel is losing the propaganda war, but it doesn't really matter because all the politicians are in their pockets. And we have these influencers like these James Lindsays and these other Charlie Kirks and all these other people, and they literally shill an indefensible position. I mean, even Pierce Morgan, who was first shilling for them, is like, okay, this is wrong, right? So even he has come to light there. So any decent human being stands against what Israel's doing. Now, whether Israel exists or not, it's none of my business. I'm not telling Jewish people what to do, where to live. That's an issue between Palestine and Israel, right? That's their problem. I want nothing to do with land ownership. That's not my issue. I would love peace in the region. That's what I would love. How do you do that? I have no idea. I'm an American, right? So I want to take care of my country. My country is not even a country anymore. It's become an economic war zone of differing tribes all wanting gives me that, right? It's off the back of white men who are now becoming a minority. It's getting worse every year. I can't recognize the country I fought for back in 2003. Imagine a Vietnam veteran. Imagine a Korean veteran. Imagine a World War II veteran, those who are alive looking at what's going on, like, what the hell's happening to my country? What is this place? Right? They didn't fight for this. They didn't fight for transgender kids and infinite diversity and everything else. I mean, I always make this joke, Michael. If I can go back in time with my phone and just pop up during World War II in one of those Higgins boats, going to the beaches of Normandy, Private Ryan, where they open up and they come out. And I just, before they get on the shore, I'm like, hey guys, like, oh, who the hell are you? Hey, I'm from the future. Don't put your guns down. All right, what do you want? Well, I want to show you. What's that? It's my phone. It has the internet. What's that mean? I don't have time. Listen. I got some good news and bad news. Like, all right, what's the news? Well, first of all, the good news, you're going to win the war. Yeah, we're going to win. Yeah. The bad news is they're going to call you Nazi, anti-Semite. These are the countries you're going to have. Britain's going to become, you know what I mean? They're going to turn the boats around. They didn't fight for that. They didn't fight for forced multiculturalism and diversity. Now, look, I'm a white guy. I'm pro-white. I don't hate other races, but we all need our living spaces. And we have this globalism, this open society, George Soros forced diversity on people that don't want it, with people who cannot assimilate, that are destroying these countries that they walk into. And yeah, some of them are victims of war, they're refugees. Most of them aren't. We just saw this Indian guy do a U-turn and kill 3 people in a car. And he's just sitting there like this because he doesn't care. These aren't his people. So diversity, multiculturalism has failed, but it's actually working for the people pushing it because they want to destroy the West, namely the white European man and all the places he's built, because we pose the greatest threat to Jewish supremacy. So that's the thing about it. And those of us, like, I don't know what are you? What's your background?
Majority, man, you never guess it. My father was 100% Lebanese.
Lebanese? Wow, really?
Yeah.
Oh, Ferris. Okay, yeah, I'm Italian. I was actually born in Italy, so I came here when I was 2. But my father's American, so I'm naturalized. So I've been here since what? Yeah, I've been here for like 39 years. So I lived in New Jersey my whole life. So, again, I fight for my country based on justice. And I came here, we assimilated. My mother was a housewife. She didn't speak well English at all. My father didn't have a high school education and he worked with his hands. He's a mason contractor. So we assimilated. But there's a lot of people coming in here. They don't want to speak English. They hate Americans. They hate the Statue of Liberty and everything's racist. That's not how we came. We came in and we learned English. We tried to assimilate, and we're not seeing that. And then we have people coming in Europe. They'll start in Italy, and the people ask, "Where are you going?" "Oh, we're going to Germany." "Why?" Better stuff, free stuff in Germany. That's what's going on. So we have a very big problem, and that's why when we talk about white genocide, is the term, or the Great Replacement, it is happening, and they'll say it's not happening on one hand. And on the other hand, say, hey, listen, it's a good thing that we're becoming more diverse. Or, yeah, whites are going to become a minority. We need more workers because the birth rates are low. So they'll deny it on one hand and they'll support it on the other, but they'll say it's not intentional. Well, of course it's intentional. These are policies that you're promoting and you're implementing against the people's will. Nobody voted for this. Who wants this? Nobody. They want it. We don't want it. So these people don't even represent us anymore. I know I'm going on a tangent, but
No. I live in Phoenix, and I was having a conversation with some people over the weekend, and I know I need to leave here. There's no water in the Southwest. It's not a good place to live. I'm tired of living near urban areas, cities. And somebody had said to me, they were like, "Why would you leave Scottsdale to go?" I'm originally from Cleveland, outside of Cleveland, and why would you ever leave to go back to Northeast Ohio? And I was listing on my reasons personally, but more important, or not more importantly, but like on the bigger scale, one, I don't want to live near a city anymore because I see the deterioration that's going on. If we could turn back time and turn the clock back and walk through a portal 10 years ago, it's night and day difference. Night and day difference. 2, which I already said, there's no water here. This is not a good place to live. If something were to happen, it's going to be 113 degrees here this weekend. If the power goes out, I'm fucked. Pardon my language. I'm fucked. So the whole city's fucked.
It was like Waterworld. Like, what was that movie where like water is a currency? It was
Mad Max.
Yeah, it's like those kind of movies. Yeah, it's like there's no water left. Yeah, I would get out of there. I mean, look, I've been living in New Jersey my whole life, and my towns that I lived in, when we first moved here, we were in Summit, New Jersey. Then we went to Mountainside, then Warren, New Jersey, and now I'm in Brick. And these are like, well, those previous ones, high taxes. So you're safe, right? The minorities there were like Jews, Hindus, and Asians. And they don't do crime, pretty much. They just don't, But when I moved to Newark by myself, Newark, New Jersey, for about a year, and when I left my house in Warren because I had to go on my own, got an apartment in Newark, living in someone's basement for like $750. Right. So it was an illegal apartment, but the guy who owned it was the mayor. So he had this apartment that he gave to this person. I rented it out. And I lived in what's called the Ironbound. The Ironbound's where all the Portuguese live. So these are like European people, Spaniards, Portuguese, some Brazilians. And it was safe for the most part across the tracks of Newark, where all the blacks live. Crime, shootings, everything over there. What started happening though, while I was living in Newark, where the Mexicans were coming in now. One guy was walking down the street naked. I don't know what he was on. He was on drugs. Then I had these crackheads. My wife to be, she's not my wife. She was just dating me at the time. She'd come visit me and park her car in the street because we don't have driveways. Crackhead broke in to get change. Same thing happened to me twice in my car. I'm like, all right. But what really did it for me, Mike, one day I got home from work and someone took a shit in front of my house. Like just literally, I'm like, okay, I gotta get out of here. Like I gotta get out of here. So I moved out, went to another town called Aberdeen with a friend of mine. Then I got a townhouse with my other friend. And I said, you know what? I could just get a house in Brick, New Jersey. Because where I am in Brick, it's pretty safe. Um, it's actually in 2006, it was the safest city in, I think, America. So most people here are whites. I got some neighbors who are different colors, but they're nice people. They've made it, good human beings. The next town over is Lakewood. It's literally controlled by Jews, literally a Jewish enclave. So they have their own thing going over there. But over here, it's relatively safe. And my wife's family lives down here anyway. So I said, let me get a house in Brick. And I've been okay ever since then. Of course, New Jersey is a blue state. But, frankly, what's the difference between the parties anyway? It doesn't really matter. But, I've traveled to the Midwest. I've seen Iowa, Ohio. I've beautiful places. I've had friends with multiple acre farms. I'm not a farm guy. So I'm kind of like the city guy, not like a New York City guy, but like what do you call it? Not a suburban area, but an urban area. It's not too, I have 60,000 people in Brick, but you could just go to the store. You could drive down the street. I have friends who have to go an hour to the hospital. I mean, I don't want that. So I don't mind the city life or rather the smaller city life, but I don't like the big city. I hate New York City. I haven't been there in a long time. I'm not that kind of guy, no. And I'm not a farm guy. Although farms are beautiful, but it's just not me.
Well, the amount of work. I mean, I was with a friend of mine this summer down in North Carolina, and he's got a big piece of land, and everyone loves the idea of prepping and having land, but man, I mean, I just got a couple of days, a glimpse. It's a lot of work,
Oh,
and
yeah.
and if you didn't grow up doing that stuff, which I did not, like it takes years to accumulate some of those skills, and well, and the other thing too in Phoenix, and this guy, it was funny how I'm sharing, these guys are asking me questions. I tell them my thought process, and then they were like, no, no, no. I said, I'm tired of seeing homeless. I'm tired of it. I see it out my window in Phoenix. Now, it's not LA, it's not San Francisco, but it's worse than, I mean, it's getting worse. It's not getting better. They live in a tunnel right next to me.
Yeah, it's crazy. And you feel bad for these people. Who knows why they're there? Did they lose their jobs? Are they just drug addicts? Like in my city, the biggest problem here is people, white kids, they like their opiates. Heroin. For some reason, heroin is an issue. It's not like a pandemic. It's not like a huge problem where there's, shootings everywhere. But these white kids love their heroin for some because they're probably depressed. They see their country going down the drain and they probably just do drugs. But other than that, it's a pretty safe town, and I don't see homeless people around here or violence, so I'm safe for now. But everyone knows where I live. I've been doxxed multiple times. They doxed my social security. So, if it weren't for the police and I building a friendly relationship after all the swattings and harassment, I probably would have to leave. Because now the whole town knows who I am, where I am. So, they won't swat me anymore because it won't work. The first two or three swats were guns. You know what I mean? Then they realize, okay, they're lying to us. We'll call you first, and so on. But
Did they do the
just
pizza with you? Did they send you a pizza?
everything. Well, that's what these people were doing. So they were sending Domino's pizzas, which Domino's have call centers, so they don't know who's calling, right? Then when they ran out of Domino's, because I told every Domino's, said blacklist me from your establishment. Then they start sending mom and pop shops, Chinese food, pizza places, subs, Mexican. And I said, look, I don't order online. I don't. If I don't call you with this number, don't. So they were hurting mom. That's what really bothered me was mom and pop shops. They were doing Door Dashes. They were sending me Amazon deliveries. Here's the thing, though, the police have tracked down everyone who sent anything from Amazon. Some of them got some phone calls, so they're all spooked out. A lot of these people are dumb. They made the mistakes. This harassment went on for like a year straight. So there's a bunch of accounts on X who are responsible for it that we're investigating with subpoenas. So they're freaking out. And hopefully I could charge these people for what they've done. But they even recently, one woman, I have her voice and everything. She's an Israeli sounding woman. She was calling gas companies to come by. Here's the thing, Michael. The gas company must investigate a leak. Doesn't matter if it's there or not. They get a phone call. She sent 16 false alarms to them. That's a foul. These are crimes, right? But she used Google Voice. Well, how do you trace that? Well, it's to an email, so we could probably find her. Hopefully, she's in this country. If she's Israeli, nothing can be done. But that's what these people do. They send services to your house, like cleaning ladies, locksmiths, anything, right? Just to harass you, just to say, hey, look, I can annoy you whenever I feel like it. But it's all stopped now because they see that I have teams of investigators behind me and they're looking into it. And hopefully we could arrest some people. But yeah, I got death threats. My wife got rape and death threats. My children were getting threats. They were harassing me like I've never seen. And that's why I got more hardcore. That's why I can't do the whole Machiavellian patty cake and interview an enemy. I just can't do it because I just look at them. I say, no, these are not good people. So that's what happened with me. But I've learned a lot from it. I've become tougher because of it. And ironically, the safest place to be is here. Because if I sold my house, first of all, Michael, I have 2.375 interest rate. You're never going to see that again. So me selling this house to go where? Where am I going to go in New Jersey? Everything's like 500,000 plus, right? Number one. I moved to another state. Okay, go to another state. Who's going to know me there? Nobody. Away from the family. What if the cops are trigger happy, get swatted again? They shoot me. I'm safe here. I'll just take my chances, So, that's what I've been through. But it made me much stronger and more dedicated to this cause. So that's what, they always try to hurt me. Like, for example, I have a bookstore, lucasgage.com. I sell books that I've reprinted that are out of print. I even write my own books. I'm actually working on another book. This one guy did 40,000 fraudulent orders with stolen credit cards. Okay. And the goal was to get my credit card processor to drop me, right? For all those high risk, because all those chargebacks would be 100,000, you know what I mean? Luckily, they stopped like 99% of them. Only a few got through and I had to deal with it. But that's what these people were doing to me. They did everything they could. They doxed my social security number. So all their amount of harassment and everything, like my wife, if she was any kind of, she would have left. She would have disappeared. She's stuck by my side. She didn't leave. She's a good woman. But any other woman would be like, I'm out of here. This is too much. You know what I mean? So I'm lucky in that regard. But I told her, listen, I can't stop. Look what these people have done to our family. It's only going to get worse if nobody stands up to them. And so that's why I'm, a threat to these people, because I'm a former Marine, family man, masculine, unapologetic, and I'm very creative. And I always piss them off with my propaganda, like Boom Boom Tel Aviv and other things that I do. So that's why I think they really hate me, is that I have this, certain approach which others don't. It's not a political approach. It's more of a attitude that if everyone had my attitude, they'd have no control over us because the fear would be gone. You see, so that's where I come and my angle of how I do things.
When they send food to you, then that person that calls it in, do they actually pay for the service?
No, that's the worst part. See, so now these restaurants are taking hits. If I got free food, what can I complain about? But they're not going to pay for it. So they'll order a pizza with like $80 for the toppings. And the guy will show up to my house and be like, I didn't order anything. Domino's is a corporation. But mom and pop shops, they got to take the hits. Some of the owners are like, look, just keep it. So sometimes they got free food because the owner's like, oh, I'm sorry. Because they knew it wasn't my number. It was a fake number. I'm like, that's not my number. Here's my number. They go, oh my God, I'm so sorry. I'm like, no, I'm sorry. She's like, here, keep the sandwiches. All right, thanks. So some of the food I got for free. Some of the gripers sent me cookies and pizza as support. Even I'm like, even that scared me. I'm like, well, wait a minute. But yeah, it was a nonstop, even crazy. So if you're a small business, Michael, you can get free boxes from the USPS, right? Like delivered to your house, like tons of them. They called in 16 crates to be delivered to my house. I came home one day to my driveway. There were 16 crates of cardboard boxes. And a mailman's like, I'm like, I didn't order this. He's like, you didn't order this? I'm like, no. Who ordered it? So I'm like, I don't know. So he had to take them all back. So they're hurting innocent people. That's what I hate the most. Hurt me all you want. Leave my wife and kids out of it. Leave innocent people out of it. Mom and pop shops, come on, stop. They don't care. Anything to get to me. And they thought it'd break my marriage. Didn't break my marriage. They thought it'd make me quit. Instead, I started a Substack and a Rumble channel. I published 2 more books. So anytime they hurt me, I just keep going more, So, but now they've reduced my reach quite drastically. So it's really tough. So I got to overcome that obstacle next. But other than that, that's what I've been through for the last 2 years. So aside from defamation and slander, libel, and death threats and all that, now it's this issue. So that's
How,
where I'm at now.
how do you overcome the suppression? I mean, being throttled on X and your visibility being limited and
Well, I mean, some stuff breaks through. Like if I do a post with a picture and just a small sentence, you can go through a million, but most of them don't go anywhere. So if my allies were retweeting me, it would help a lot more, but they're not. So, and I don't blame them, and I don't think that they want to get hurt. But that's another thing. Without people retweeting me, I'm not getting seen. So what I do is I pin my posts. But when I pin them, maybe I'll get 50,000 views, maybe 100,000. But some will break through, depending on the stuff. I posted a picture of the death threats my wife got, and that got 1 million views. So, but ever since Boom Boom Tel Aviv, that song, they really have done what they could to suppress me in real time. So it's not just the ADL, it's a cyberwell security firm from Israel, actually. It's not American, it's Israeli. And they're all former 8200. They're not former. They're all, that's what's, so I don't think everyone's like, okay, well, they're doing that to Lucas. And if I associate with him, they might do it to me, So for example, you put this on YouTube, they'll probably just nuke the YouTube video, not your channel, hopefully, right? Or maybe nothing, because we haven't really, you notice I've been avoiding saying who. I've been
right,
very cautious.
right.
So I just for that reason. But we all know who we're talking about. So maybe that'll be fine. But yeah, like I said, I don't want to hurt my allies or anybody, but this is what I'm going through, and this is what I need to tell people, but yeah, I'm not going to tell people help me if they can't or make them feel bad if they don't. It just is what it is. If you get shot down in war, well, there you are. You got to recuperate. So I'm in that down phase right now, and that's fine.
Do you think the censorship is going to come back where people's channels are going to get nuked again? And
Yeah, I think what they're going to do is pass more anti-Semite stuff, these laws that they're pushing, and they might just start nuking people again. Why not? What stops them from doing it? I mean, all they need is more terrorism to happen or more hate speech or whatever the case. I mean, look what happened with that guy. The girl, she pushes the guy with the phone. She loses, she gets knocked out of school, and now people are getting deported. If you criticize Israel, you get deported out of this country. I had a friend of mine, Jeremy McKenzie from Canada. He tried to get in. He was detained for 9 hours. They made him walk home without his car. Like, what is going on here? Other guys that tried to fly in, same thing, can't come in because they criticize Israel. So they're not letting people in. That's not good. So I don't even know if I'm allowed to go out. I haven't tried to go anywhere lately. I wonder if I go to the UK. Probably can't. I'm probably deemed a terrorist on some list. You know what I mean? So I don't know. I don't like traveling anyway. So right now I'm not on a no-fly list. I can fly within the country. I don't think I can go to Europe. I think I'll be interrogated or something like that. People say, come to Australia. Like, I don't think that's going to happen either. So I don't like traveling anyway, but this is what they're doing now. Travel restrictions to people, the questioning people, things like that. And now obviously the algorithms are, as Jonathan Greenblatt said, freedom of speech, but not freedom of reach. Well, if you don't have freedom of reach, it's like you don't exist anyway. My friend Sam Parker, he's 95% deboosted. It's like his 180,000 followers. It's like nothing. You know what I mean? So, and he doesn't even break through like I do. I at least break through here and there. He doesn't. So it's like they have this algorithm switch. They turn it on and it's like you're not there. So people who have been following me, even my own followers don't see me. My friend Anthony, who I know personally from New Jersey, he's like, I haven't seen you tweet in a month. I'm like, really? So that's what happens. Even your own I can understand them containing you from the public, right? But your own followers, it's ridiculous. So yeah, it's unfair. It's not cool. I can't even buy a blue check mark. So Nick and myself, I think, are the only two people who cannot purchase a blue check. We got her stripped from us, never allowed to buy it again. So they won't even take our money because that blue check mark gives us more reach. Plus, when we respond to people, we're seen at the top, right? So when I respond to someone, I don't even exist. When Nick responds, because of the Groypers liking his heart, he can ratio people. I can't. See what I mean? So I'm at a disadvantage without a blue check mark. So is he, but he has a huge following to boost him. I don't. So that's why I'm effectively being isolated. So without a blue check mark, you're not going to be seen anyway. You see what I mean? So I'm lucky anything breaks through.
Yeah, you said, one of my concerns, a lot of concerns, but one of my top ones is that this is going to come back, and they're going to use that as a front to. I think they've succeeded in a lot of ways because people are even just hesitate. They hesitate to speak anymore because of risk of offending people, and so when the whole. I mean, the MAGA people are just as bad to me as the people on the left with the propaganda. And they're like, DEI is dead. I'm like, no, it's not. It's not. Like, okay, maybe they did away with the term, but they put enough fear and they have programmed people so much where they hesitate even for a second to say anything anymore at the risk of offending somebody. That's where we're at. And that's not going away. So, how do they ratchet up the dial? Because I believe that they're going to attempt to lock this country down again. Not for COVID, because that won't work, but to do it for something else.
You'd be surprised. You'd be surprised if it wouldn't work. I mean, I thought that would be a revolution, COVID. Nothing came from that. I mean, it's incredible. I mean, people woke up because of it, but they could lock us down again. What's going to stop them? I don't know. But what do you think it would be? What would the lockdown be? A terrorist attack or?
Could be. Well, I wrote on X. I don't know if you follow me, but I wrote on X last night. I said, be careful what you wish for with these National Guard being deployed in these cities. Because one thing about governments, they always take advantage when they can. And once they start to implement something, and, I had my friend Matt Smith on yesterday, and he was talking about ICE's budget, how it's been, how much it's been elevated in this new package that was signed. And what they're looking for from recruitment, and I didn't even know this, they're offering a $50,000 bonus to join ICE. So you look at that, and you look at the National Guard, being deployed. So the visibility of people, boots on the ground in these cities, and as you and I know, being a little bit older, like they eventually will turn on the people. And if you didn't learn that from COVID, then I can't even help you anymore. Not you in particular, but like Like these governments don't care about you. But the MAGA, trust. I'm like, what the hell happened to you people? Last year you were, everything was against the Biden administration. Now it's trust the government. Hated Tesla at the beginning. Hated Tesla last year. Loved it at the beginning of the year. Now you don't even hear about it anymore. It's just. So I think people would comply. I think they'd go right for it. Of course.
Well, that's the thing about Trump. Here's the thing about Trump. If Kamala would have won, none of this stuff would have worked. No bomb Iran, nothing, right? Because it's Trump, who's a likable character, even though he's a complete Zionist shill at this point, who covered up the Epstein files, which all those people, Epstein didn't kill himself, all the T-shirts, Epstein didn't kill himself, Dan Bongino, Epstein didn't kill himself, everyone, now it's like, yeah, he did kill himself. It's a hoax. It's a Democrat hoax. It's like, wow, man. And by the way, Epstein was killed under the Trump administration. William Barr, under his, he was the one, under his watch there, he was killed. So yes, something's going on with Trump and Epstein. They were certainly friends. I'm not saying he slept it on, who knows what happened, doesn't really matter. But now Ghislaine is out there. She's like on part, what is she getting pardoned? I don't know what's going on with her. Like, what's happening with this stuff? So like, Epstein files are completely, forget it. JFK files came out with like one sentence that said Israel, okay, and now this Trump administration with, and by the way, ICE, I think Nick said the other day, it's like 20%, deportations are 20% lower. So he's not even doing anything. So what are they really militarizing, right? Like you said, and by the way, once you see something so often, you get used to it. You see what I mean? So like, oh, that's just the ICE people raiding again, big deal. So that's the danger of this militarization of this force. Of course, we want to get rid of illegal aliens, but, when the government gains power, they never give it back.
Never.
Like the Patriot Act, did we ever get rid of that? No. NDAA? No. Now you can go. Now you can go to the airport with your shoes on. I think they got rid of that. But wow, after like 9/11, like after 14 years ago. So yeah, things don't really or what 21 years ago, whatever the math is. It's once they gain power, they never do. So we're gonna just get the incremental indoctrination over time, the tyrannical tiptoe, and Trump's the guy to do it because he's so likable, right? At least to half the country. And these MAGA people, it's just they're just as bad as the snowflakes on the other side, right? You say something about Trump, you say something about Israel. Oh my God, it's even worse. So that's what's going on with the MEGA. They call it MEGA, Make Israel Great Again now, because that's what it is. It's sad to see. And this whole JD Vance thing, they're trying to prop him up. I mean, this country is not even a country anymore, honestly. And it's sad to see, but we got to keep telling the truth no matter what they do. And will they crack down? Probably at some point, but they're doing it differently. They're doing it differently. Like I said, they limit your reach. That's the same thing. They don't have to suspend you. They just shut you off. Even my Rumble channel, I was getting 300 views a show. Now I'm getting 120, 200 maybe. I don't know why that's happening. And Rumble's supposed to be free speech, but who's involved in Rumble? Peter Thiel, JD Vance, Vivek Ramaswamy, these characters that are in little tech or big tech, whatever you want to call it. And they're all behind Elon, and Elon's supposed to come in with Doge and save everything. Then he realizes it's all corrupt. What's he really doing? He's a tech guy. They want this tech tyranny.
He's built on government contracts. I had friends say to me the election, Doge and Elon. I said, okay, all right. I'm not the smartest guy here, but I'm going to go on a limb. I don't have any government contracts, but when you become a billionaire on federal money, you have to abide by certain rules.
Yeah.
That's the way it works. So I didn't buy into the whole fact of, because look at all those companies. They're all big government.
They're all military contracting, essentially, right? And so, I voted for Trump in 2015. I did. And the second he bombed Syria, I knew it was over. I was like, nope, he's one of them. And it just, over time, vindicated. And that was it. And I was right, because the whole idea with Trump was he's an outsider. He's a billionaire. He doesn't need their money. That was the thing. Well, doesn't matter. Even if he was that, it's one guy. You have an entire Congress against you, justice system, all these advisors that are, you have a whole system against you. One guy's not enough. And if one guy's a problem, you get JFK'd. So it's not enough. You need a whole country to wake up. And that's where this info war happens. That's what this culture war is all about. But even that's not enough, because you can't just wake people up and they just sit there and go, I know the truth. Well, the truth doesn't mean anything. And it's useless if you don't act on it. So what do? How do we take our country back? Well, there's a bunch of ideas, but it's got to be at the local level. Forget Congress. Forget becoming president. That's good. Local levels, right? Build up and take your town, and go on from there. But I have ideas myself. I have my own philosophies to come up with that we got to repeal all of these acts, like the Civil Rights Act and the 17th Amendment, was it? We got to bring the Senate back to the state legislators. We got to do a lot of things. We have to make more states. We got to end this diversity thing. We got to let people live in homogenous states and mixed states. We have to let people live how they want to live organically. We got to stop forcing it, right? I have this idea called neo-federalism. That's what I call it. I'm writing it in my book. And I give you 5 different states, how they're organized over with these 3 pillars, which is basically politics, religion, and race. And, there should be no multi-party states. It doesn't make any sense. Why would you want to live with someone who has different politics than you, right? So I say all of these states must be politically homogenous. And then from there, you could have a state which is one religion and one race, and that could be one state. Another state could be, politically homogenous, but then maybe there's different races because they're all the same religion, so they don't care about race. So you break it down like that till you have the chaotic state, which is multiple parties, multiple races, multiple religions, which is a chaotic state and disastrous, right? So I'm trying to come up with this political framework that I'm developing in my book just to seed the idea in American people and the minds of Americans, like, look, this diversity stuff failed. That doesn't mean we have to ship people to Africa and do all these crazy race war stuff. It's like, why don't we take the land we have and allocate people where they're supposed to live. And you could actually look at the country, how the demographics already are, and just cut lines there. I mean, California should be like 5 different states. Why is it one? It's insane. It's like its own country, right? And then you only have 2 senators, and you have how many people representing them? You're supposed to have one representative for every 30,000 people. Now you have one for every 750,000. We've never updated, right? According to the Constitution, we never updated our representation. So we don't have enough representatives. We don't have enough states. I know it sounds weird, but I don't know what else to do here because I don't think we're going to have this one leader show up and just dominate every one of these 2 parties that exist. I think we need to kind of like not balkanize into different countries, but neo-federalize. We need to say, okay, look, go back to what our forefathers envisioned. Small government, small federal government. Let the government arbitrate between the states. Let the Constitution be between the state relations, but let the states have their Constitution be supreme. This state doesn't want gay marriage. This one does. Okay, go over there. Whatever. You see what I mean? That makes more sense. That's just common sense to me. I don't want to live next to people who disagree with me on everything. And then every year we have to fight at the poll, at the ballot box. That makes no sense. You wouldn't run a small business like that, Michael. If you had a small business, you had a board, and you had 12 board members, half the board opposes the other half every single time, you would just say, why don't we just make 2 different companies, right? It's just common sense, So I kind of, this is what I'm promoting, this neo-federalism that I come up with, where I just want to implant the idea in the minds of Americans that we need to go back to small federal government, more states' rights, state sovereignty. And that was taken from us. It was taken from us in many ways. The freedom of association was taken from us with the Civil Rights Act. You must live in Why? By bayonet, they forced integration. That's ridiculous. Who wants to do that? And now all these races want to have blacks want to be on their own now. Okay. Well, can we do it too? You know what I mean? So that's what I think the future of America is. Something practical, not, we're going to boat loads to people, different countries. What do we got here? Where's everyone living now? Let's draw the lines and let's kind of work with what we have and go from there. That's my view on America. I don't know what you think.
I've never been, especially since after the election, even before that, I said these institutions are just too far gone. They're not salvageable anymore. And
right.
I didn't think that everyone was jumping on the bandwagon, Kennedy and, like Avengers. This is a superhero movie. We don't live in a superhero movie. This is not a Jack Ryan movie. Just shows you my age right here. You're a few years younger than me. I'm 47, so. But I didn't expect anybody to come to justice. I didn't expect anybody to get arrested. I didn't expect Big Pharma to go down. And I got attacked for it. I'm always negative. I'm this, that. Okay, that's fine. And then people come to me. They're like, well, it seems like it's not going to happen. I'm like, it was never going to happen. It was never going to. And I never even read it. I never even read any of that stuff. I still have people talk to me about QAnon. I said, I go, it's all part of the plan. Okay, then tell me what's going to happen next week so that I have an idea. Maybe I can bet on it and make money if that's the plan. But I think, I think people don't want to hear this, but how do you do things? You start off with your local household. You start off in your local neighborhood. You start off in your local area. Set the example for your family. Set the example for your community of what you are, what you want to accomplish. I just had my friend Matt Smith on yesterday, and he lives in Uruguay, and he just put out a book in regards to his son. His son is 19 or 20 now, called The Preparation. And this book, it's incredible. Like his son did not go the traditional college route. So he had his son, give you a simple fast track version, put him in EMT school. From there, it's led him to fight wildfires in Oregon. He got his private pilot's license. He learned how to sail. He's learned how to become a rancher on his family's farm. All these skill sets that he's acquiring is now making him not only a resource, but he's becoming somewhat, dangerous in terms of his knowledge. Because he didn't go the traditional route. Because the traditional route for most people doesn't work anymore. I don't think it worked when I went to school, to be honest with you, because I didn't learn anything. Learned how to go out.
You become a drone. I mean, I dropped out of college twice. That's what I did. I got out of the Marine Corps, I got the GI Bill, I went to community college, did very well. I got 3.63 my first semester, then 3.86. Then I got accepted to Rutgers, and I jumped out of the classes in May of that year before my bachelor associates. Then I did it again. I was like, oh, PTSD, blah blah blah. Did the same exact courses and dropped out again. I said, no, I cannot do this. I feel like I'm becoming a drone. Ever since the Marine Corps, I never wanted to take orders again. Be my own boss. So my friend Dustin had a company, energy consulting firm, right, where you could sell deregulated energy directly to the people. So it was actually a good thing to do. So I did that for a while. Then I did massage therapy. I was jumping back and forth. Then I did neuro-linguistic programming, which is like self-help life coaching with neuro-linguistic programming. It's this technology where it's like hypnosis and persuasive, like you know who Tony Robbins is?
Yeah.
That kind of guy. Yeah. Like high performance coaching. I actually did that for 2 years, got a master certification there. And I opened my own small business called Internal Transformations, TRANCE. And I did that for a little bit. But when I woke up to the real problem, I said, oh, I got to do this. But, I don't like taking orders. I don't like working for people. I do my own thing. And so, yeah, going to college, it's not going to work because you're spending money. You go into debt. You get this predatory loan you can never get out of.
The cost of it today is ridiculous from when before. I mean, how much it's changed since when you and I. I mean, you and I are 6 years apart, and this is what he was talking. I didn't mean to cut you off, but this is what he was talking about in relation to like where for young people. And he's actually going to write a book because he has a daughter that's I think she's equivalent of a senior. But even going farther back at like to the high school, right? Complete waste of time. I remember sitting there. People say, well, I mean, I wasn't very good in school, but I wasn't interested in any of these people we're talking about. Like, and you sit there hating your life, and then you go into college, they program you because this is what you're supposed to do. You're supposed to go to college, and you have to get that, you got to get that college algebra, the basic stuff, and then you get into your specialized, whatever it is that you want to get your degree in. And then from there, you go into corporate job where you're miserable every fucking day, and you're sitting around a bunch of people that are also miserable, and they don't want you asking questions. Especially, it's even worse. It's even worse now than what it was 20 years ago. Don't ask questions. Don't question authority. Put your head down. We don't want to hear any of your creative ideas, and you'll get a paycheck, health insurance, and 4 weeks PTO.
And sensitivity training and cultural Marxist.
Yeah, you'll get shamed. You'll get shamed for being a Caucasian, white. You'll get shamed for that. You have to eat terrible food that they bring in, and you're supposed to be grateful for it. Mm-hmm. You get a little cubicle. Maybe you get a window. And you're not challenged. I mean, and all those steps to get to, and all the steps to get to where you're at, you aren't challenged. Now, I'm sure you come across a good professor, a good teacher along the way, because there's some good ones out there, I think. But you're not challenged at all. You're a drone. You're a robot. Who wants to live like that?
No, I think the school system is designed to make us just drones. We should leave high school be able to get a career. That's it. You should be able to leave high school and get a career immediately at 18 years old, doing something hands-on. Let the universities be for doctors, lawyers, specialized education. That's how it should be. Right. So instead, they teach us nonsense we're not interested in. We should be able to pick what we want in high school and go from there and get out and go get a job. Because look, a lot of these degrees people get, they go get liberal arts, then they go work for a marketing firm, and they don't even know it has nothing to do. They get trained on the job anyway. Makes no sense, right? So unless you're doing a technical job, unless you're doing something that has a specific skill, like you need to learn. Why do I have to learn algebra if I'm going to do sales? You don't need to know it, right? So it's like stupid. It's just a waste of time. It's a way to enslave the future generations. That's all. I have friends who went to college to become teachers. They're still paying their debt. It's ridiculous. And they have families. It's just usury. It's another form of usury that enslaves the next generation of people, become worker ants and never grow anywhere. And I think it's insane. And here's the thing. The right wing goes, you should have never took those loans out. They don't even care about people getting enslaved by these loans, right? These are predatory loans. You can't even default on them. It's stupid. So that's very bad. And I write this in my book, Thoughts and Reflections on Life, that we should have people going to school. By the time they get out of college with a GED, go get a career. Now, what kind of career? Okay, you could go learn to be a mechanic through a tech school or something like that. You could learn it in school. I remember when I was in high school, we had mechanic courses, electives like this. So there should be a whole revamp of our education system, and they just don't care because they. And by the way, when people go to college, Mike, they party the whole time. They're in fraternities, they're in sororities. They're not even ready.
That's all I did.
They're 18.
That's all I
They're
did.
18 years. Yeah, I went to the Marine Corps, so I didn't get to party. I got out of the Marine Corps at 22. Then I partied for like 10 years. But like, I had friends when I went to go visit them in college. My friend at Cornell, Cornell's an Ivy League. They're partying, doing drugs. It's all over the place. It's like it's just a waste of time. You're too immature to take this thing seriously. But you're not immature enough to go to a freaking retail store and become a clerk or something like that. Like, so yeah, if you want to specialize, yeah, college should be for higher education. That's what I think. But high schools need to be revamped. They really do.
Or you just pull your kid, your kid out of the system, because you're going to be able to teach your kid more in a homeschool. Or there's other homeschools out there too. Yeah. I mean, and that's I've come across people. They're like, well, I can't homeschool my kid. I go, I'm sure. Okay, I get it. Both parents are working, but it doesn't mean there's not other like-minded people in your area. You have to find them, and they're out there.
We did pods. Yeah, when COVID happened, we put our kids in these pods where mothers were doing. They're young, they were like kindergarten, stuff like that. Now my son's about to turn 10 and my daughter's going to be 5 this November. But when the COVID thing happened, we took them out of school because the masks were stupid. And I said, these mothers put these pods together where they would do school stuff together, But yeah, I mean, look, the internet, I've learned more from the internet than school. Like just watching documentaries, how-tos, reading articles, a lot. Like, look, I have a shirt company. I'm not a designer, but I made one up. I use AI. I use my own designs. Now I sell shirts and I sell coffee mugs and art. And so I have a sovereignty.shop is my store there. I have a bookstore. I could write books. I publish my own books, and I also take books that are out of print and I reprint them. So now they're available, right? So those are 2 business models I didn't go to college for. You know what I mean? Plus, I stream. That's not a college thing or whatever the case, So, I mean, there are many ways to make money out there. And people need to start thinking about jobs that cannot get replaced by AI, right? Even a barber is going to last longer because there's no robots going to cut your hair, right? Or deep sea diving or oil rig people.
Elevator, Lucas, elevator repairman. I talked to somebody the other day. They said they know an elevator repairman. I'm like, wow. I've never met an elevator repairman, but I feel like that's a recession-proof job.
Make a lot of money, man. There's like, truckers are going to get replaced, I think, by AI. Trucking, yeah, that's going to be automatic, I think. But there's like surgery. I mean, surgeons, that's a whole thing. But there's going to be jobs out there that can never be replaced by robots. And that's what I think people should focus on.
Well, but the other thing too is, I should send you that conversation I recorded with him yesterday because it was really good talking about all this. And and he had said, kind of the theme of the book is what he asked his son, what kind of man do you want to become? Forget about the haves, what you have. That stuff comes later. But it's the 3 words, be, do, and have. And he's like, as a society, we prioritize the haves. What do you want to be? And what do you do in order to become? And the haves come later. But, he talked about putting he's like, yeah, I don't believe in giving a kid just pure freedom at 18 because they need some direction. They need some guidance. Yeah, he got into things that he might not have wanted to do, but I thought it would be good. And he said, and then it presented other opportunities. And the other thing I thought was really, what he said was, you don't want to specialize in one thing. You want to be a spider and start building your web, right? Area over here, area over here, area over here. And maybe you're not a master in any of it, but you're getting enough knowledge to where you are a resource and you start to become dangerous. In a good way, not a bad way, but you
become valuable as a man. Like you have value to provide, so people seek your value rather than having valuable things.
And you become a leader, right? People start seeking you out because of all your experience and doing all these different things, and they also start looking at you and they're like, "Wow, this is not the traditional route this person is going," and yet they have gained so much life experience by doing this. Plus, it surrounds that young person. But let's face it, when we were all 18, we were morons. So what do? You go to college and you're around a bunch of other morons. This allows you, and still doesn't mean you can't have fun, you can't go do things. Yeah, you can go visit your friend, whatever. Like you can go do all that stuff. But you're also around people that are a little bit older that might help pave the way for you for success. They don't feel threatened by you. Interesting, man. But getting back to when you asked me, these are the things that I think we should be doing as a community within our own local spheres. These types of things can make the impact. Now I know it's not when people just want to go back to their lattes, their yoga mats, and the couch, and they think
Right.
this is all going to go away. It's not.
No, it's not. No, it's going to get worse. I mean, they're going to, the farmers are under attack by Monsanto. I mean, that's why you should go to your local butcher. You see, there are little changes you can make to start these communities. And we need to build a parallel society, is what it is, because this current system is going to collapse. I mean, these cities, when everything shit hits the fan, will become death traps. All right. Imagine New York City with no food. It's going to be like cannibalism, right? You don't want to be around there. That's why a lot of people are literally they're moving out, they're buying land, ammo, and farms.
Look where I'm at, Lucas. Look where I live. I live in like one of the worst places you could
Yeah,
be. There's no
you
water
don't want
here.
to be there when shit hits the fan, because this Ponzi scheme will collapse. It's impossible, right? It's impossible for this system to just keep going indefinitely. So things will hit the fan. And I'm not like the doom guy where like nuclear war will happen. I mean, God forbid. But things will get ugly, and there'll probably be a massive depression again. And you want to have your own food sources at least. You want to have something to protect your family, some land to surround you with. Because these things are not going. I tell my wife, they're like, look, we're safe now, but one day we got to get the hell out of here. One day, I don't know when, but one day for sure. And so people got to think about having the skill set to survive that kind of thing. And I'm not saying Mad Max survival, but look, you got to know how to plant your own food. I don't. I don't know how you make a fire. I was in the Marine Corps. I don't care. I'm one of these people like, oh, we'll be okay. I tell myself, but my skill set's on the internet. So long as I have an internet connection, I'll be okay. So I can literally leave America and go live somewhere else. But other people don't have that. Other people have to work the land. Other people have to do things with their hands. I don't. But those who do, you got to have those resources, and you're not going to learn them in college. You're just not. They want to make you a drone so you work for J.C. Penney, or something like that, or Merrill Lynch. That's what they want to do, and while you're in debt forever. So, I tell people to unplug from the system, and now is the best time to do it because of the internet. You could talk to Grok and ask Grok to help you make a business plan, and it will make you a business plan. Like, I want to build a pizzeria. Here's how you do it. It's like, wow, these AI weapons are going to be used against us for sure, right? But they can also be used for our benefit. So you could ask Grok, make me a business plan for this or that. And there's all these websites now, do it yourself. I have this coffee mug that says Mine Coffee, right? It's a joke. I could start making Mine coffee. And there's a place called Drip Shipper that'll ship the coffee around the world. Like I could do that right now if I wanted to and see what happens. There's so many opportunities now because of automation, because of the internet, that you could just become a business owner from your house. So you don't have to be a drone that goes to college, right? You don't have to. You could do something. If you have a good idea, there are many ways to find how to execute that idea. And you can ask Grok. Grok is like a PhD. Like this guy, this thing, it's so powerful. And frankly, it might become too powerful. They might start programming programs with Grok. They might start making movies with Grok. Entire industries could collapse. You know, so you don't want to be in those industries. That's what I'm trying to say. So going back to the basics is probably the way forward for most people. But then there are those of us who were more mental driven, right? So I'm an author. I'm a philosopher. So those things, I don't think Grok will ever replace that because that technology will never become self-aware. People think AI is going to, no, it's not. AI is just a big algorithm. It's not self-aware. There's no way it could ever be self-aware. It's not like Terminator Skynet.
That's what I was going to say.
That's what people think, right?
Great movie, though. Great movie, though.
It's great. It is great. But how can a silicon chip based on mathematical algorithm become self? What's the self? What's the sense organs? Our five senses create a self, and we're a life form that has a metabolism, and we replicate. These are just electrical signals. You know what I mean? They're not going to become, oh, I'm going to nuke humanity or something like that. So there's a lot of hype with AI, but absolutely dangerous tool. You could program AI to kill all anti-Semites on this list. They're using it in Palantir, extremely dangerous. That's what they're using in Palestine. They could find people quite quickly with Palantir. So there is a lot of dangers, facial recognition, So it can be used as a weapon against us, but it also can be used as a weapon against them. And like I said, my Boom Boom Tel Aviv song was AI music. I wrote the lyrics, it made the track, and boom, it went viral. So, technology is always a double-edged sword, Michael. You know that. But yeah. So, what else can we say?
Where can people find you?
So yeah, so I'm on X, Lucas Gage X is my X account. If you want to follow me there. LucasGage.com is my bookstore, but also has all my other links there. Sovereignty.shop is my store. So sovereigntee.shop is my store. I'm having a 25% off sale for August if you use August 25. My books are also 25% off because my sales have been down. Without my reach, no sale. So I'm giving, and I sign every book. Everything you guys buy, I sign the copies and I ship them out the next day or the day of. But yeah, X and my two stores are there. And Rumble, if you follow me on Rumble, it's just Lucas Gage on Rumble. Those are my three. But I have something called bio.site/Lucas Gage. That has all my links if you go there. So bio.site/Lucas Gage. All my links are there. But if you don't remember that, lucasgage.com has all my links too. So that's where everyone can find me, Michael.
Lucas, thanks for doing this. Enjoyed this conversation.
Pleasure to speak to you. Yeah.
Love to have you back on, man. And we'll see, follow the world and see where it goes.
Sure thing, Michael. Anytime, just let me know.
Mic drop.